Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to continue the narrative that Pat started a little bit by fleshing out some of what we're trying to achieve here this evening. First and foremost, we wanted to give people a little exposure to the fantastic science that's going on and the scientists who are doing it. And so we've set up these 8 discovery areas all around here tonight. And some of you have been visiting before, and I invite you after these remarks to go visit the rest of the discovery areas because they're really quite interesting. We have 8 of them. Several of them that are set up to describe the physics of the MEG machine itself, how the data are analyzed and the data are collected. And I saw certain people in the room gravitating towards that, and they never left the data analysts and wanted to see all the data that was streaming out of the brain. And it's a very, very exciting discovery area. We hope all of you see. But there are other ones that are also of interest. We have other discovery areas that are dedicated to, for instance, social neuroscience, how the brain is changed by social emotional interaction with others, and how the social brain develops in the first 5 years. We have a discovery area about bilingualism and how learning 2 languages could help improve cognitive flexibility. There's some very new research that shows that bilingual adults and bilingual children are actually have increased cognitive flexibility and ability to think in innovative ways, and there's a discovery area that describes that. We have another one about impoverished learning exposure in the first 5 years of life and how that affects the brain. And we have another last discovery area about stereotypes. There's a stunning new discovery that's been made here at iLabs about how cultural stereotypes reach in and affect children as early as 2nd grade. Before they are doing math problems themselves, they are already bathed with cultural stereotypes that, for instance, girls don't do math, which is a cultural stereotype, not a universal truth. The girls are being affected quite early in development, and we have a discovery area dedicated to describing that. So I hope after today's remarks, people will see some of those areas that they haven't already been to. President Emmert and Dean Kelsey are here today, and we want to thank them for helping set up this interdisciplinary research unit. You know, we're not a department, we're an interdisciplinary unit, and that means we can draw the best and brightest faculty and students from many departments all across the university. And they all come here to work on a common issue, early learning brain development, the impact of brain science on education. As a research institute, we can be very nimble, adaptable, and we can move quickly when there are new technologies such as MEG. So I want to thank Dean Kelsey and President Emmert for helping set up an organizational structure at the University of Washington that encourages these interdisciplinary research units. Thank you very much. Thanks. We also have a very, very active advisory board made up of community volunteers who are passionate about making sure that our discoveries don't just stay locked in the ivory tower, but get out into the field, into the hands of people that use it. Mariko Tamaki, who's here, and the Tamaki Foundation board who came up from San Francisco, call it downstreaming. The Tamaki Foundation is very interested in downstreaming, as is all of our advisory board members. Pat and I have a mantra that we talk to our graduate students and postdocs about that says there is no substitute for a good idea. And working with our iLabs board, we now have changed that to be there's no substitute for a good idea, and move quickly on it. Our board has us very interested in how to get the research out of the labs into the hands of people to use that. And the organizational structure that we've created at iLabs to do it is what we call a TOW wing, Translation, Outreach, and Education. Our TOW wing is headed by Dr. Gina Lebedeva, and she's working very closely with partners around the state so that the new knowledge that's created in iLabs can be translated and then picked up by organizations that are dedicated to disseminating this knowledge to people who can use it. iLabs does the basic discoveries and the translation to our partners, but we don't actually do the dissemination. That's done with partners like Thrive by 5. Outside, there's a Discover area on the screen you'll see outside describing this partnership, this TOW partnership of translation, outreach, and education. The idea of these partnerships basically is to connect the science of learning and the practice of learning into one seamless whole. We think we can do this in the state of Washington, and we'd be first in the country to be able to make that seamless ecosystem, and we're working very hard to do it. And finally, I just want to recognize the children who are in the room and the parents and families that help iLabs. You know, we test about 3,000 to 4,000 children a year at iLabs, and we have a very active following. We have parents who have been into iLabs with their first child, and after they have their second or third, they call us up and say, hey doctors, can I come back in? I learned so much the first time, I want to see what the new advances are. And most research labs around the country are busy dialing up parents saying, can you please come in to visit us? We have parents knocking on our doors who want to be here. And we're very excited about that sort of partnership with the families around Seattle. But really, when you see a young child come into the lab, when you look into a young child's eyes, as I'm sure all of you know and has been expressed, there's this sort of joy of learning that they exude, a joy of discovery, a passion for understanding the world. And that sort of passion that you see in a young child, you sort of want to bottle and figure out how you can maximize learning opportunities for all of our children. We think the Developing Mind Project will help us do that with our outreach partners. And we want to dedicate the evening and this opening to all of our children who are quite literally our future. So thank you very much for making this evening happen.